guys, it's Dani with this lovely and stylish band-aid. Thank you. Today we are finishing up what we started with the Tarot Cabinet Chronicles, and I'm going to be showing you guys what's going to be leaving my collection. So if you guys have spent any time on my channel, you know that I don't keep a very big tarot collection. My reason for that being that I do have to pack them up when big storms come because I do live in South Louisiana. So I have to have I'm gonna air quote, like a portable system where I can kind of fit all of my decks into what I call my hurricane bag and bring them with me. Right? Because this is my livelihood. This is my, not only my collection and where I've kind of cultivated, but also my business. So, you know, it's very important that I be able to protect my tarot cards and not allow them to kind of get swept away in the wind and rain. So I often go through a culling or a cutting back almost every single year. And this year was really nice because it was more about organizing my cabinet and less about I have to go through and get rid of some stuff. You know what I mean? So it kind of served a dual purpose because I was able to see everything that I had and make a conscious decision of what I use, what I don't use, you know, what I really love and what doesn't speak to me anymore. So by all means, these decks, I'm not trying to roast them. There's nothing wrong with them. They just don't fit in my collection anymore, or there's something that maybe I have differently that I want to focus on and just kind of let these go. So I wanted to show you what is going to be leaving my collection because a lot of you guys were curious and I said that I would. So, you know, keeping promises. So first up is one that I get asked about all the time. And this is the crystal healing. So you can see this is a little, it like sits on a bookshelf, really, really nice. It's got this chunky book that comes with it that kind of talks about how to use crystals, divination, associations. It's got all kinds of really, really cool stuff inside. And it comes with, or you can see it's inset, this little pack of cards. And I used to get asked about it all the time. And I used it so much. But like my reading style has changed tremendously. And the way that I use my crystals and incorporate my crystals has changed. So I don't feel like I am reaching for this anymore. And because it's like such a popular deck for people to ask me about, I was like, you know what, there's so many other people who would love to get their hands on this that might utilize it in much more of a way than I ever do. So I decided that this one will leave my collection since I'm not using it, but you can see how cool these are. So it's got obviously the crystal, color, qualities, and chakra on the front, so you can use it as like some keywords. But then on the back, you can see this is for the blue lace agate. It has different kind of readings here for like different placements. If you're looking at houses of the zodiac, if you're looking at different areas here, like center, southeast, I think like parts of the body as well, if you're doing something along those lines. So they're really cool cards. There's a lot to it. But I'm just not utilizing it anymore, and I figure I would pass this along to someone who would really enjoy it. And you can see it's gone through a little bit of wear, but nothing too bad. And it pops right in, and you can put it on the shelf. So it's a really neat little book and card pack, and I really enjoyed it for the time that I needed it, and now I just think it's time to pass on. And that's how it is with most of these. It's not that I don't like them anymore, it's that I just feel like it's time to pass them on, you know? So next up, I know, gasp, I know. But the second edition Marielle, I don't have the first edition, which is the one that I really, really wanted, I think, because of the cards that have changed. However, this was really nice to work with. It's such a beautiful deck, but I just don't think it has a place any longer in my collection. So I did get the first round of second editions. So mine came a little bit dinged. And it came in this box, which had a lot of trouble. Try to get this glare off. This is just very glossy. But it has the beautiful booklet, full color pages, so much depth to these cards. See, but mine had that really crappy inner, like you can see my hands goes straight inside it. Like, not a well-designed box. So mine did have a couple of little dingies on them. So I keep them in this, that way they don't roam around. But it has the black gilding. But the gilding was a little sticky on these. There's not a whole lot of, you can't notice it a whole bunch. I'm trying to find, oh, you can kind of see, you see up at the top? It's like, it did a little bit of, oh, there we go. Here's one that you can kind of see. It did a little bit of sticking. Do you see? But it's not terrible, and you really do have to look for it. It's in great condition. I know there are some people who absolutely adore this deck, and it is a beautiful deck. I just don't feel like I am capable of going into the depths that I think that this deserves. So I find myself not reaching for it for the simple fact that I'm just like, it's too much. Like, I don't know it enough. I don't... Like, the intuition that I get when I use this, I feel doesn't match up with the deep symbology and the depth of this deck. So I just feel like now is not the time for me with this deck. So I am definitely going to find it another home that, you know, it'll get used. Next up, yep, it's the fairy deck. So this one still has the Doreen Virtue name and Radley Valentine. If anyone has watched my plethora of tarot collections, I always talk about, like, I don't know why I've kept this deck for so long. And, you know, I still don't know why. I used it very sparingly. And I don't know. I don't know why I kept it for so long, but I think it's finally time to let it go. I must have at least cracked it open because it looks like I have opened the booklet, but I don't think I got much further than this because everything else is like really, really tight. But here it is. I didn't shuffle this so much. You can see even though I didn't use it all that much, there's still a little bit of nicking, and you can see that on the side as well. But I find that most Hay House decks that have this kind of cardstock and the gilding especially, they kind of gather a couple of nicks on the side. It's like, I don't know, it's like, it's not that it's like super crappy cardstock. I just think it's the gilding that causes these little nicks and stuff because it doesn't stay on quite well. And any little piece, sometimes you have to like pry the cards apart initially. Like once you pry them up, they're fine, but like you can see it's like the two cards were almost, ooh, I'm sorry, made y'all go up and down. When the cards initially come, you almost have to pull them apart, so you get like little nicks. But I barely use this. I could say maybe a handful of times, and I pulled it out again, and I looked through it again, and I thought about it again, and I was like, you know what? It's time. It's time to just let this go. I'm not going to use it. I don't incredibly enjoy the art. While some of them are absolutely beautiful, there are others that just don't speak to me. And so I'm like, you know what? Somebody else will enjoy this. It is time for it to leave my company. So we are saying goodbye to the fairy tarot cards. And there is the Divine Feminine Oracle. So one of my friends was getting rid of a bunch of stuff in her collection. And she posted it on Facebook, and I was like, oh my god, there was a bunch that I didn't have, so I snagged a bunch of them. And I was like, oh, I'll take these. You know what I mean? So I bought this, and I was like, I've never really looked through it. I'm really interested in like this divine feminine energy, so I wanted to check it out. I don't think I even opened the book. There's not even a crease here. So I don't even know what's within it, because when I got it and I flipped through the cards, I realized that I just don't think this is for me. I thought the backgrounds and the way that it was done, this almost like ethereal look to it, I was like, oh, I'm really gonna like this. This is really gonna be great with the way that I work with goddess energy and divine feminine energy. But having them in hand and really flipping through and really taking them in, I don't think that this kind of artwork is for me. I don't feel like it embodies what I want to see, if that makes sense. Like, the art itself is beautiful, really great keywords, but I can't get past some of the images that just don't speak to me. And like, some of them are absolutely beautiful, but maybe it's like, I don't know, sometimes maybe it's like too beautiful, maybe, or maybe it's the realistic faces on this kind of non-realistic plane that gives me pause. Or like, it looks like a face has been put on. I don't know. There's just something about it that doesn't quite work with me. So after not even really using it, but only kind of going through it, I just know that this is not something that I'm going to use in my collection. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass this on. Up next is one that I really kind of struggled with, because I was like, I do use it sometimes, but it's not a favorite of mine. And that is the Sacred Rebels. Now, again, and this you'll find really often in my oracle, I don't really pop open the guidebook so much. Or if I do, I just kind of go in there and glance. I don't really work them over, you know what I mean? I don't really pop the spines or bend them a whole bunch. But I don't know if I ever really dove much into the guidebook, which I know Elena Fairchild is famous for having amazing guidebooks. But I did alter these cards. So I modified these. I took some of the edges off and I freed them from the borders. I did a pretty good job. There are one or two that maybe they still shuffle really well. But there's one or two that I maybe cut a little too short. But it's not so bad. Now, these I did use quite a bit, but I find myself gravitating towards oracles that are a little more different than this. So this is one that I just feel like I kind of grew out of. And so I'd rather see it go and find something that kind of resonates with me more than keep it and, you know, not use it and just kind of fill that space with something that I don't use. You know what I mean? So Tarot Mucha, or Mucha, however you want to say it. I don't know the exact pronunciation. I think it is Mucha. This tarot is based on the art of Alfonso Mucha, and I love his art. This is not his art, but it's just like based on it, right? So I'm really surprised that I am ready to let this go, because I used it so much. Y'all, when I say so much, I mean like legit. Almost every day I used this deck. I didn't really go much into, I think this has all the, yeah, this one is, it's Lo Scarabeo, so it has a few different languages in here. I don't know if I ever opened this book. I'm so bad at that. I know some people are cringing, like, what do you mean you never opened the book? Sometimes I just don't. This one I felt so connected with and so easy to read that I just don't think that I needed it. And the thing is I used the hell out of this, and look how great a shape this is in. Like, there's no like weird bows. It didn't mess up the sides of the cards, like, and y'all, it was a workhorse. But I just think that I used what I needed, and now I'm just kind of done. It's been a hot minute since I picked it up, and the more I look through it, in these images, I freaking love them. But I just feel like that time is over. Like, I used it. I got what I needed, and now it's just kind of taking up space, and I'm just not using it anymore. And it's so beautiful, y'all. It's so beautiful. And it gives me pause, but then it's like I keep going through and I imagine the spreads again, and I'm just like, I think it's just time, you know? It's just time. So this one is bittersweet, but I know it's the right thing to do because it's been so long since I've used it. And again, I feel like it might just take up space now, just for the thought of it versus being a usable deck. And so I think it's time to let this go. On to Dragon Path. So I use this one. I grabbed this one in a spiritual goodies box. And it was all about dragons, and it was so awesome. Look at these backs. They are really, really beautiful. But I already have a dragon deck that I use. The garden dragons are like my heart. They are my dragons. And while these have some really, really awesome images, the vibe of it is not the way that I use my dragon tools, you know what I mean? And use that energy. So I just feel like, as beautiful as this is, and as well as they read, and like the depth that goes into this, I just don't feel like it's for me. So I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. So I love Danielle Noel's artwork. This was a great oracle to use, Work Your Light Oracle. But I just don't feel like I'm connecting with it anymore. As much as I adore the artwork. Like, I really do love the artwork in here. And it's got a great little guidebook. Really nice. But I'm just not there anymore, I think. And there's a couple of cards that just don't speak to me. And like when I get them, I'm just like, no. You know what I mean? Like, now I have a deck or two that I have cards that especially Oracle. I don't do that for tarot, but like there are a couple of Oracle decks where like I have a card or two set aside that I'm just like, I don't like the way that it fits in, or I don't like the imagery of it. It just feels wrong, so I just put it aside. But this one has more so than I would like to put aside. I feel like it's just not worth it anymore, because they do have things like Lemuria, in different places. Mintaken. Like, I don't know enough about that for it to work for me. And there are just a few of them that I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. So instead of forcing myself to feel it or taking out, see, there's another one like Pleiades, where it's just not part of my practice. I don't feel like it's worth it for me. So, and look, I even have some washi. This washi comes right off. I guess I should take that off. That I even had to, like, put a little bit of whiteout on there because I just didn't want, like, it didn't flow with my energy. So this is Anna, the grandmother of Jesus. And so I shoved some whiteout on there, which can obviously be easily taken off. Now it looks just like new. And then covered it with some clear washi to just say grandmother, because I wanted that grandmother energy, but I didn't want that like very specific Christian energy. So I just kind of altered it myself. Some people were like, take it out of the deck, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to take it out of the deck because I want that grandmother energy. So I just kind of altered it to kind of fit what I wanted. But of course, you know, some people, that's fine for them. It just wasn't the energy that I was trying to bring. And using this not only for myself but for others, I felt like sometimes it was jarring, and I didn't want to do that to someone else. So yeah, that's this deck. Beautiful. Just, there's a bunch that I don't vibe with, so it's really just become not worth it to me. Another one that I got and I altered, and that's the Herb Crafter's Tarot. This is a really, really interesting deck. It's got some really, really good entries in the guidebook, and I did alter it. So I took the borders off, I rounded the edges, I kept the bottom. However, it did, like, there is white at the bottom here because I cut off the top and the sides, and just a smidge of the bottom. So there is the white left at the bottom. It didn't really bother me, because you could see these beautiful backs. That made them kind of not reversible though, but I don't pay much attention to that, so it wasn't an issue for me. These could very easily be edged, but I haven't edged them. This is a beautiful deck, but again, it's one of those that I used for a while and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't, it's not something I go back to very often in my practice. I do herb crafting in a different way. Like, I don't really do it with the tarot, and like I thought I would have a little niche, a little place with it, but I didn't really care for it. So that is why I'm kind of finding another home for this one, because it's a beautiful deck, but it doesn't really have a place in my practice. So time to move along, I think. Now some double whammies. We have two little decks. So we have Tarot of Marseille and my little Nicoletta Ciccoli. So I was going to keep these for crafting purposes because I do have the large Nicoletta. And I was going to keep my Tarot of Marseille because I don't use it as much, and it's not one that I prefer because of all of this at the top. But there, I mean, it's a nice little deck. It shuffles really well for being so small. The images are really, really clear, but I just don't use it. And then I was like, oh, well, then what I'll do is I will craft with it. And I don't think I will. You know what I mean? They were super cheap to get. This is the Nicoletta, again, in great condition. I used this one a couple of times and immediately bought the bigger one. I was like, no, yeah, this is what I want. And sometimes I'll do that. I will buy a small version of a deck to see if I want it because it is so much cheaper. And then if I do, then I just buy the bigger version. And this one actually has a little white book. Oh, and a plain card. Oh my God, come on out. Well, anyway, it's got the little white book in there, which is really great. So you kind of get everything versus just the cards with no booklet. You get that in here. The Marseille, though, I don't think it has it. Oh, it does. It does have its little book. So there you go. I have some tarots in a tin. Again, these are some that I never thought I would give away. I never thought I would leave my collection, but it is time. Okay, so the Aquarium Tarot, I do love this deck. I love this deck. It has my favorite devil card. Matter of fact, yep. There it is, right on top. Right on top. But I have not been using this in a while. And I think I wanted to alter them. I wanted to take the borders off, but this is too small of an addition to do that with. I think it would absolutely be too hard to work with. And then the way that it is, I won't be able to round the edges. And I'm just like, you know what? No. So I think I am going to let this one go. And I may bring the large edition into my collection. That way I can do what I want to do with the deck and not have to worry about it being non-functional. You know what I mean? And y'all, he's my favorite. I don't know why. It is. It's my favorite. So I think this one's going to go so I can get the bigger copy. The Wonderland Tarot is very close to my heart. I loved Alice. Alice is kind of my jam. But I don't use it often, and I was like, well, I'm keeping it for sentimental reasons because I love Alice and it's what I want and it's what I love. But I'm at a space right now where it's like, this is holding space in my collection and I'm just not using it. And it's just not worth holding on to for me if I'm not going to use it, right? And I really don't. Now, I love the way this is set up because we have playing card numbers on the tops and bottoms, and I love that. We have some really great imagery, and it does look like a lot like the imagery from the actual book. So that's always fun because it does try to keep with the same style. So it makes it seem like I mean, look at the Duchess. It makes it seem like it's right off the pages. So that was really fun to me. Plus we have some of the chess characters, which was really, really great. It does follow the book, you know what I mean? Versus the movie. Well, the Disney version. This is like the book itself. We have all the oysters, Judgment, which I really love. We have the tarts and the Jack. And I really do love the animation. I love the way that it, sparks that nostalgia for me. But I'm really just not using it. And I don't think I want it enough for it to take up the space. Like, I just feel like it's okay. Like, it's okay to let it go. And then lastly is Pixi's Astounding Lenormand here for the Tarots in a 10. Great little book that it has. Even gives you, it's like keywords, the energy, the full meaning, and some that it's like, if it's the mice and the whip, it's like arguments, mice in the tree, stress, depression, deteriorating health. It's a really good little guidebook, and it's chunky. Do you see that? However, I don't keep many Lenormand, and I already have two that I really, really love, which is the Easy Lenormand and the new Green Glyphs Lenormand. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. If not, I'll put it somewhere, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And so I feel like that's enough for me. So I am just going to let this one go because I don't keep mini Lenormand. Like, I usually have like my go-to, and that's it. So I usually keep one or two. So this one, as fun as it is, I think I'm going to let go since I have my new one. And I much prefer my Easy Lenormand than this one because I like having the cards on there, because this one doesn't. I mean, it has what it is at the bottom, like the Jack of Spades, and Jack of Spades and the Jack of Clubs. And so that is there, like the 9 of Clubs. But I like seeing the picture of it, and my Easy Lenormand has the picture of it, and it feels way more vintage, and I really love it. So anyway, those are my tarots in a 10 that are leaving. Then we have the amazing Albano Waite Tarot. I love the colors on here, but I don't pull from it. I really don't. As cool as it is, I used it quite a bit at first. These have the white backs with this like sun on it. I love all the different colors, but I just don't use it very much. I think it was just something to get because it was so fun, and I loved these vibrant colors. It was so different, but still similar, that I just had a great time using it for when I did. But I'm kind of like, okay, it's fine. I can let this one go. It's not getting much love. And I have my other ones, the Centennial being my favorite RWS tones, that I really just neglect this. Up next is another one that I feel like I need the bigger deck so that I can get more out of it. And that's the Next World Tarot. This is the mini version. It's basically the same as the Tarot in a 10. That's basically the same size. But there's so much going on that I'm like, I want to see it in a bigger format. So with this one, it's not that I don't like the deck or that I don't want the deck anymore. It's that I really want it in a bigger format to enjoy a little bit more. Because let's face it, I'm getting old. My eyesight. I don't want to have to strain to see what's going on. And I feel like I didn't at first, but the more I want to see into it, like, I really want to see all this, and I find myself straining to do so, and I'm like, why am I doing that when I can just get the bigger version and let someone else have this one? You know what I mean? So this is a really fun deck. I really love what it stands for, and it's got this nice little condensed booklet. I do have a little, is that a little tear, or is that supposed to be there? I just noticed that. I don't know. Oh, it is. There's a slight little cut there. I don't know what happened. Maybe just taking it in and out, because the box is pretty tight. But like, I used it, but I didn't, there's no bends or anything, because I haven't used it for that long. I think I got it at the beginning of the year. And after using it a couple of times, I was like, you know what? No. It's time to get the bigger one if I want to keep this. So, there's that. Then we have another kind of classic, if you will, the Robin Wood Tarot. This is another one that I snagged from my friend, so it's been through her and as well as me. So the box is a little bit dinty, but inside is perfection. I was going to modify it, but I didn't because I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it. So we have our little white book, and I think it's still in order. Yes. So we have the Robin Wood Tarot, and this was another one that I was like, I really thought that I was going to like. I wanted to get it in my hand. It was another one of those like vintage style, and all I kept thinking was like the Margaret Greer and, you know, the Aquarium Tarot and like these kind of classic-y ones. And I was like, I think I really want the Robin Wood. I like what it stands for. I love some of the imagery, but it just didn't speak to me. It did not speak to me, and I was kind of bummed about it. Like, I really did. Like, I used it. I even put it back in order. I was like, okay, let me reset this, try again. And nope, it just didn't speak to me the way that I thought it was. So I didn't alter it, just kept it as is, because I don't think that this one is going to stay in my collection. On to 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. Now this one has a really great box. A really, really beautiful and well done guidebook. It has this fold out, like old school style, where you can like lay out your cards in this rose spread. But this one I did alter. So it's got a couple of extra cards that you can see. Oh, well, maybe you can. Come on. Where you can see I took the borders off. So this is the other star. So I took the borders off. I did red around the edges. Oh, these are 2 more of the extra cards that I have in here that do have the borders taken off. But I did this like kind of faded red. I thought it would go really well with the cards. They just kind of look really cool with it. And I use this one quite a bit because I love the art style. But this is one that has this kind of, oh my god, what is it called? Spit shading. Like kind of tattoo art style with the like watercolors and things like that. But there are a few in here who are still in their more raw. Like this one is in marker. This one has some colored pencil. I'm trying to find the one that when I get it I'm just like, oh, this one, the Empress, who's still kind of in colored pencil. There's just a few that take me out, like, because this is so dynamic, and the shading and the paint work, and it's so beautiful. There's another one, the Ace of Wands, where it's like, I don't know, I either want it all like this or all like this. My brain just doesn't want to wrap around it. Every time I get to it, it feels so wrong. This one reminds me of the Margaret Greer, and I freaking love this card. Probably one of my favorite cards in this deck. Strange, I know. But, like, I just feel like it takes me out, and for a lot of people, that doesn't bother them. And there's just, like, when they have multiple artists for one deck, they can be so beautiful, but I don't know why my brain throws me out of it. It's like, no, this is not right. It's not the same. It's not cohesive. And so it just wants to kind of like toss me out of the of the space that I'm trying to be in. So while this one is absolutely gorgeous, it's a really great reader. I love the images. I find myself not utilizing it because of that. So I'm like, you know what? I can find another one that kind of suits what I'm looking for in a different manner. So last two. So I want to start with this beautiful Mystique. This one has, it's in the box, but it's in the bag because I wanted to keep it all safe. This one is number 603 out of 804. So it's got a certificate of authenticity. This is the Lux X Sombra Tarot. This is a gorgeous deck. It's gorgeous. I used it quite a bit. It is a beautiful pip style deck. Look at that. It is so lush, you guys. Like, Lux is definitely where it's at. So it's got this nice, it is both in English and in French guidebook that comes along with it. And it has, like, the camera does not do it justice. It's so soft. And all the stuff looks like it glows. It is a beautiful deck. It is beautiful. But it's the court cards that I don't connect with. And I find when I love this card. When I get them in a reading, it's another one that kind of throws me out of my reading, because when I see it, it's like I want to talk about the Taurus versus it being, you know, something of coins, right? Or, you know, wands, you know, like it's just, it throws me off, you know? Oh, look at that. I'm telling you, it's the glow in person and the smooth, it's so lush. But like it just drags me out, you know? And it's just so beautiful. I think it's like I want to love it 100%, and I love it like 85%, you know? So that's the only thing that just kind of takes me out. And every time I flip through, I have such a hard time. I'm like, but it's really beautiful, and I really want it. Like, look at this. The High Priestess being this, like, jellyfish. Oh, it's so beautiful. But I just can't. I just can't do it. So, I don't want to waste this just sitting around me, like, not using it. So, I definitely want to get this to someone who is going to love it 100%. And it's just a gorgeous deck. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I just really love to touch it. And I think that's what it kills me, because like I want to use it and love it wholeheartedly. And I just find myself not reaching for it because I'm like, what if a court card comes up? It just throws me off. So that's okay. And last, but certainly not least, the Wild Unknown. The Wild Unknown. So I do have my things marked. You can barely see the white that I used, but it shows like if you want to get to the wands, the cups, the swords, the pentacles, or the majors, you can open the tab and it's there, right there for you. It's still in, I mean, there's wear on it. It's up there in years. But I have all the love for this deck. And it goes in and out of my pile every year, where I'm like, I'm going to keep it, I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to keep it, I'm not going to keep it. But I think I made the decision that I'm just not going to keep it. It is heavily animal driven. And while I found it easy to learn and really easy to read, I find the more I get into my practice, the more I shy away from this kind of deck. I do have some animal decks, but I don't have a whole bunch. And with this one, I don't know. I just feel like I needed it for a time, and now it can go to someone else. And the box does come out. Ooh. Whoa. Sorry. But again, it's one of those, like, I needed it for a chunk of time, and now I just don't think I need it anymore. So it's time to pass it on to someone else who may need it. I totally did that wrong, didn't I? No, I didn't. Okay. And Kim Krans is such an amazing artist. I do love the things that she does. So there we have it. So thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this little look at what is leaving my collection. As always, I'm going to do a 2021 collection as the year draws to an end. So these are the ones that are leaving before I get all that stuff done. And just to let you know, if any of you are interested in maybe snagging some of these that are going to be leaving my collection, I will have a link down below to a Facebook post. I'll be just putting them up on my Facebook, and it'll be first come, first serve. It'll have all the details in the post, so I'll be sure to link that down in the comments below. Not the comments, the description down below. And as well as all of the usual, my Etsy shop, how to book a reading, 3 Fat Readers, all those goodies will also be down in the description box below, and we will talk very soon. I am sending you all my love. Later, Gators.